I always saw myself as an outsider. Stand-up was very much a way for me to put voices to my frustration or to my isolation, and also a way for me to like find a place for myself in the world. Growing up in Ohio was weird. You know, it was the 90s and I was a closeted queer kid. So it was a lot of like assuming that I would never get to really be myself in my life and kind of just thinking this is what my life's gonna be like, and it's not now, which is cool. I was in musicals in high school and like stage plays, and I think stand-up was just like a natural progression of that.
I think at this point it'd be easier for me on a first date if I was like just Frankenstein's monster. I think that'd be easier. Like, listen, before we order drinks, I should let you know that technically I am 7 corpses sewn together.
I did not believe that I could come out and be a comedian. I did this gig in Hannibal, Missouri, and then I was like, is this the kind of gig that I'm afraid I'm gonna lose if I come out? That next night, I was at the open mic. I walked out on stage and I did 5 minutes about being trans, and I was completely terrified. But then people afterwards told me that I had never looked more confident on stage. I came out to my parents in 2009. I used the phrase crossdresser first when I really knew that like this was who I was as a person and I was going to transition. I came out to them again. And then it became very clear to them like, no, I am a woman and I'm going to live as a woman. The first time I heard any language that was like gay or lesbian and like used in like a positive context was when Ellen came out on the Ellen show. Oh, this is a kind of woman that I can be. That really like changed my life, really.
TSA does not know what to do with trans people. I went through the security, I did the machine, put my hands in the air like I don't care, all that kind of stuff, right? And so she's patting me down and she's like, gets to my waist and she stops and she's like, if I reach up under your skirt, am I gonna find like a weapon up there? And I just said, yes, definitely. You're gonna find the cause of all the war.
I actually run a monthly comedy show in a comic book store called The Perky Nerd. This store is actually like female operated and like run by a woman named Tiffany. We started booking a show there. Once a month, we just book some of our favorite comics in LA. It's been one of the most fun shows I've done in a long time. There is still a representation gap that needs to be kind of overcome. There is still a lot of uncertainty about what to do with trans voices and how to cast trans people in projects. It feels like there's like this idea that, well, as long as you have one on the show, you're fine. If you start booking more shows that are more diverse, then you get different points of view, and then that kind of like moves the conversation forward. What I like about Midge in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is even though she is like a rich socialite kind of character in the beginning, she goes through a painful process. She has this whole map of her life kind of figured out, and suddenly it's all gone. And her privilege doesn't protect her from that. Her money doesn't protect her from that. I think that there's like a real humanity to that, and I think there's like a vulnerability. So when she hits that stage, that first night in that coffee shop, and she just has that like real moment where she's just talking about her emotions and what's going on in her life, and it's just like so funny and so raw, and comes across so confident even though she is terrified.
There are so many questions spinning around in my head. Why did he leave? Why wasn't I enough? And why didn't they put the stage over there against that wall instead of over here by the bathrooms so you wouldn't have to listen to every giant bowel movement that takes place in there?
I love being able to use this art form to take the things that people think they can't relate to and then finding a way to make a joke that they can relate to about it. There are so many people in my audiences who probably would never have thought they'd understand what being trans is like, and they've told me afterward, you like helped me kind of understand it better in a way, and that is like a magical thing.
Thank you guys very much. I am Riley Silverman. Thank you.
What?